Hi, I'm Colton Ford. Today I'm going to talk about the integumentary system. So, we'll talk about the epidermis first, the more superficial area of the integumentary system. It is a stratified squamous epithelium and is comprised of 4 different cells, keratinocytes, melanocytes, Merkel cells, and Langerhans cells. The deepest layer of the 5 layers of the epidermis is the stratum basal. It's attached to the basal lamellum. It's composed of basal stem cells, which is why this layer is the most cell division speaking-wise active. It also includes Merkel cells, which are response to nervous tactile responses, and we have melanocytes, which is responsible for pigmentation and coloring of the skin. The next superficial region is the stratum spinosum. This area is where keratinocytes start forming macular adhesions to tonofibrils of the cytoskeleton. This is where Langerhans cells kind of wander around, which are kind of immune response cells. They wander in this layer. We also find melanocytes, again, for pigmentation. And this region has where keratinocytes can still divide. It's not near as common, but it still can happen. The next superficial layer is the stratum corneum. This is where keratinocytes start forming keratin hyaline in granules around the cell. Eventually this will encompass the cell and it will prevent the nutrient and waste exchange, which will result in the death of the cell and organelles, which will cause thinning. And then keratin is also formed here, keratin. And these will form fibers that will help further support additional cell junction and attachment, kind of some cohesion there. The next superficial area is the stratum lucidum. That's only present in thick skin, such as the palms of the hands or the soles of the feet. It's kind of hard to view due to it not staining well, so histologically speaking with a microscope, it's kind of hard to observe this area. The next superficial area is the stratum corneum, and this is going to be several cell layers thick. This is where all the dead cells from the deeper layers really serve their purpose in protection of these deeper layers. These ones are the expendable cells that usually get worn off due to friction, and they're replaced by the basal stem cells. The next portion that's deeper to the epidermis is the dermis, which is comprised of connective tissue, and its main role is to kind of support and nourish the epidermis. So these 2 layers in the dermis. We have the papillary layer, which is loose connective tissue, and is comprised of a lot of nerves, axons, and vessels, and capillaries, such as the subcapillary plexus that's present in this layer. It's also named after the dermal papillae that are present in this layer. Then we go deeper, and we go to the reticular layer. The reticular layer is dense, irregular connective tissue that projects into the superficial papillary layer and then also goes down deeper into the subcutaneous. It's kind of hard to differentiate the reticular from this subcutaneous because of how well that blends those collagen fibers. And the main purpose of the reticular layer is to provide flexibility, strength, and support. These collagen fibers surround a lot of other key components of the integumentary system, such as hair follicles, several glands, such as sebaceous glands, which secrete oil secretions, and sweat glands, which are endocrine glands. This is also where we'll find some of those smaller nerve components, such as like tactile receptors and things of that nature. The next layer that's deeper than this will be the subcutaneous. And it's not really technically a layer of the integumentary system, but we treat it as such for this course. It's going to be composed of a lot of vessels and adipose tissue or fat storage in that region. That's why a lot of medication is injected in there due to the high levels of vessels. The subcutaneous layer helps provide insulation and really kind of a mechanism of attachment of the superficial layers of the integumentary system to deeper systems such as the muscular system, etc. So the reason why a integumentary system is important to know, clinically speaking wise, is there are a lot of things that the integumentary system is observed for, at least medically speaking. So we have skin cancer screening, which is arguably probably the most important thing to get done after your early 20s annually. This can help prevent loss of life or disfigurement, a lot of suffering. The skin also tells us a lot of things about the internal body environment, such as liver issues. We might have jaundice of the skin, such as yellowing, or we might have, with some heart conditions, you might have the skin kind of turning pale or losing a lot of the hair due to lack of blood flow. So there are some important applications of the integumentary system for PAs or doctors. I believe I covered everything. So that'll be it. Thank you for your time. Have a good one.